In this bulletin, a former World Trade Center tenant and 9/11 survivor dares to return. Hello, I'm David Gibbons and here is the news. A former World Trade Center tenant and 9/11 survivor has returned and reopened his imaging supplies office on the 85th floor. Greg Carafello, who used to run a small colour printing business in the South Tower, was there on the day but survived the horror. And Greg Carafello joins me online from New York. Thanks for joining me, Greg.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, David.
So how long have you been involved with imaging consumables industry?
Well, I began working for Canon in New York City in September of 1981. So I started off in copiers, and luckily I rose through the ranks, and I helped introduce the fax machines in 1984, 85, and then in 1987 I introduced the color copier. Reintroduced the color copier. They had what they call Color T before that, which was basically a boat anchor. But then they introduced the Color T in the laser, color laser in 1987, and that just took off. And so I've been in the imaging business since 1981, and I worked for Canon from 1981 till 1990. So I was involved in signing the agreement with FE, well, Electronics for Imaging, but FE was also the owner's name out of Israel, and we were I signed the agreement with our branch in New York City, and then I resigned shortly after that because I started to see the future with color imaging, color printing, WYSIWYG. In other words, what you see is what you get.
Yep.
Well, before 1990, it was not that way. Today, you can get a color printer for $40, but back then it was, if you could do it at all, it'd be thousands of dollars.
Now, Greg, you had a small imaging business in one of the two World Trade Center towers. Tell me about that.
Well, the kind of business that I had was not a cartridge business. What it was in 1990 when I resigned, my wife and I opened up a business called Abracadabra Digital Color, and we were one of the first in the Northeast of the United States to hook up color copiers to computers via the same the FE RIP that we had negotiated. So we had 4 stores in New Jersey, and we had the headquarters store at the World Trade Center, and we were in business for about 14 years. And so up until 9/11, we were in the World Trade Center. So being there running a business is quite a unique opportunity, where there's 7 towers in the World Trade Center complex. There were the 2 twin towers and 5 smaller towers. We were in 2 World Trade on the 18th floor, which is now known as the South Tower. And we had an office in 1826, a suite in 1826, which was windows and offices and work like that. And then we had a suite in 1854, which was in the center of the building with no windows. So you had a much lower rent on the inside and a much higher rent on the windows. So you blended rent. And we were there up until 9/11 on that day. And I was there that day with we had about 30 or so employees back then. We had 5 in the World Trade Center location, plus a couple part-timers. But no one was in. The only one that was in was the gentleman who was running the business. I treated every store as an independent profit and loss. So they all had their own little businesses under my umbrella.
So where were you actually on that day? Tell me what happened. I mean, what was your memory?
That day I was on the 18th floor. I'd gotten in early that day. I got in about 7 o'clock, 7:15 in the morning. We had a big meeting with one of our top clients, which was Morgan Stanley. They had about 35 floors just above us. So we were becoming their in-house, outside printing company right there, right in the building with them. So we were prepping for the meeting, and it was a big meeting. And they'd already done a lot of business with us over the years. We felt that this was going to be just a nice shot in the arm. And so we stopped with our prep, and I went to make a phone call, and then a noise, kind of like a sonic boom. The windows were shaking. If you've ever had jet planes go by your home or whatever. And in New York City, the windows never shake. There's really never any planes close enough to make that happen, or going fast enough at that speed to make that happen. So it was very, it was different. and we ended up right away. Our building was okay. So the first building that was hit was One World Trade, which is now called the North Tower. So even though we felt the concussion of it, we felt the sonic boom kind of feel. We did not. We were intact. We had our lights were on. Everything was good. However, when I looked out the window, which was right in front of me, there was all kinds of debris, confetti, and stuff falling all over. So you knew something had happened. And then the gentleman who came in, who worked for me, he had been in the building in 1999, and there was a hurricane. So Mayor Giuliani closed the building, and he had to go down. So it took him about 3 hours to go down 18 floors. And one of the reasons was each building is an acre of land. So you have 110 acres of land of people vertically times 2. So every time they had 3 stairway exits, and every time they opened the door, it would stop your progress. So, and there were very narrow staircases. So it took him, what he told me was almost 3 hours to get down 18 floors. So he advised, and I listened, we should leave right away. And I felt the same way. And none of my other employees were in. And they had shut off the subways, and they'd shut off the path to New Jersey and also the elevators. So people were not going to be able to come up at that point. So we ended up walking down, and we had gone down the staircase, and when they opened the door, looking at the plaza, which was normally where they had concerts, and you'd have a soda or coffee or something, and it was, believe me, after the first plane hit, it was destroyed. You couldn't believe it was the same place. So we had then went down even further, but it was all tied off and strapped off. So we went up one flight, and then we decided to sprint 1 block away. We wanted to run because all kinds of debris was falling. And these buildings are 1,368 feet tall. So you have almost a quarter mile up, and the impact zone was around 90th, 91st, 92nd, 93rd floor. So there was all kinds of debris coming down from great height. So we decided to sprint to get away from the debris. And then just as we had gotten away from the debris, I threw him my cell phone, and I said to call our New Jersey locations because the phones will roll over. And as he was on the phone calling New Jersey, about halfway through the conversation, the second plane came in right behind me.
My goodness. You've got such a vivid memory as if it was just yesterday.
Yes, it absolutely it feels that way. And I'm involved, just on a note, I'm involved as a docent, which is an educator of artifacts at the new museum, the 9/11 Museum. So I'm constantly being educated and trying to educate people on the facts of the buildings and the facts of the new building and the old buildings and so on, and the artifacts that are downstairs. So you get to it's very live in my mind.
Yeah. Now, 14 years later, you're moving back into the new World Trade Center. How does that feel?
Well, it's actually I'm quite proud to do it. I believe it's one of the best places to do business in the world. I believe it's a very safe building, and I always wanted to go back in. Now, let me clarify that. The first 3 or 4 years, I had no interest in going back in, as many people, survivors or anybody involved in the incident there. But it's an unbelievable energy that you have there. It's an unbelievable place to do business. There will be 5 buildings built again. Right now, there are 2 that are complete, and then they plan on opening another 4. Well, actually 3, but then I heard that there might be a 4th one. But there'll be 12 million square feet of office rental, which is exactly or more or less what they had in the previous campus. So if you want to do business, it's you never have to leave. Just stay in the buildings and do as much business as you'd like to.
Okay, so tell me about your business in the World Trade Center today. What are you actually doing? Tell me about your business.
Well, today I am. I'm a master franchisee for Cartridge World, and I own the rights to the Middle Atlantic United States, so Maryland, D.C., Virginia, New York, and New Jersey. So I'm going to I'm headquartered there now in the trade centers. It's a small space, but they have the opportunity to allow me to grow. It's actually with a company out of Australia called Servcorp. And so I share space, but it gives me a secretary, it gives me an address, it gives me mailing, address also, and it gives me the conference rooms and it gives me the offices that I need as I grow. So I someday would like to have Northeast training there and meetings there, and also have people who are interested in our franchise concept to meet there.
So how is Cartridge World progressing as a brand in your particular region there in the northeastern states?
I have about 57 stores right now in my region. The industry is changing a bit, we feel anyways, in the fact that it's going business to business at this point in time. So we're going after the managed print agreements. We're going after business to business, and we feel Cartridge we do a good revenue source. I have about 17 stores in New York. I have 3 in Manhattan. There is room for more, but I think Manhattan I know for a fact, Manhattan's going to be a different animal for Cartridge World, and I knew this when I bought it in '08, that the rents are too high, and they're getting very high now retail. I mean, $300 a square foot and so on. So you can't do enough cartridges out of that, and you don't really need to pay that. So what we're doing now is we're going into mezzanine style, second floor with a window, or even some of our stores have no windows. They're on the 15th or 20th floor of an office building. But if you do 4-block search around that office building, there might be 22,000 businesses. There's an awful lot of business. And so it's more of a sales environment in the New York City region.
Thanks for joining me, Greg. We wish you all the best as you settle back into your business in the World Trade Center and help the Cartridge World brand to prosper.
Okay, David, thank you for your time.
Thanks. And for more breaking imaging news, go to irecyclingtimes.com or grab a copy of Recycling Times magazine, published in 5 languages every month. This month, Ms. London Thompson, one of the team at LMI Solutions based in Atlanta, is on the front cover, and it's all about remanufactured printers, not cartridges, and it's a great story. Thanks for watching. See you again soon. I'm David Gibbons.